But yeah, I dealt cards at the Beverly Hills for 4 years, right for the Mafia, right when I got out of the Navy, in 1957 to 61.
Oh, wow, so that club had been around for a long time then.
Well, it's got a big history back. It's got a long history. Back in the mid-30s, it was burned down by the Mafia because they wanted to take over from the guy that owned it, you know.
Uh-huh.
And he rebuilt it, and a little girl got killed in that fire. And he rebuilt it, and then they pressured him. I don't know if he gave it to him or sold it to him, but they took over. And then that's kind of when I went to work in 57. It was a little later, but the same people. And the federal government got hot and everything, and there was a committee of 500 and everything that wanted it closed. The thing is, Bill, that all of Newport was called Sin City. It was really bad.
Really?
Most of the places you went in, you didn't have a chance. There was pyramid games and everything you can imagine. Flamingo Club and the 411 Club, and there's all kind of clubs were down there. But the Beverly was tied in with the Desert Inn in Las Vegas. Same people owned it. And it was a square place, but it had to go with the rest of them. And I used to go on stage every night after the show, and I would call bingo, like I played golf with Tony Bennett, and it just was really neat. All the big stars were in there then. And then and Frank Sinatra came in, and Dean Martin and Shirley MacLaine. I had all their autographs on a baseball, which I recently sold for $650.
Wow.
But they came in when we had the gambling just because Mike Bonfiglio from Steubenville was one of our managers, and they knew him, and what have you. And it was just real interesting. I saw Earl Flynn right before he died. The place was just, when I was dealing cards one night, there was a girl from California. She said, "Man, we come here every year. This is where we got to have our conventions because we love to come here for this place." And I dealt cards to Gloria Graham. She was a movie actress in The Greatest Show on Earth. And I dealt cards to Stanley Musial. And just all kind of people would come into the place. Very interesting. There's a story out called Mafia. Let's see. Mafia Wife. I can't think of the name of that thing right now, but her brother was one of the dealers that I worked with, Johnny Augustine, and she finally killed herself. She married a gangster, and he did all kind of torture on her and everything, and she finally just killed herself over in Rome. But there's so many stories. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Now, so what kind of gambling would they have? Would it be after hours, or?
No, every night we'd open at about 8 to show, and not too much happened until the first show was over, which was about maybe 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. And we had 4 roulette tables, 2 chocolate tables, 8 or 9 blackjack tables, and 4 crap tables. And I mean a lot of money. One night I was on a crap table on the box, and there were 4 money boxes in front of me, about 5 inches deep, right? Maybe just a little bit bigger than a bill. And they didn't have time to take them over. Every one of those boxes was completely full of money with the lids pushed up. And we're not talking about dollar bills. And then they'd call Las Vegas and get credit for people, so then they'd put a $500 or $1,000 credit slip in there, whatever. And now we're talking about back in the late 50s.
And then you say the Schilling family took over? Or?
Yeah, well, then it closed, for a while, and then it got open for a little dinner club and that, but some people that just didn't know how to run it, and the Schillings did. They had other places. Another place that they had that's called the Lookout House, which had been another big gambling casino, just as well as ours, but had been over in the next county. Well, the guy that bought that was going to remodel it and everything, and the Beverly Hills started off just like going crazy with people, Well, conveniently, that place burned to the ground right after we opened. That it didn't cost you an arm and a leg to go up there either. It was, they had specials and everything, and it was really sharp. Even when they had gambling, it wasn't expensive. Like I say, I called the bingo as soon as the show was over each night back then.
But now, gambling was legal there?
No, see, that's why I said they call it Sin City. That was all illegal.
Oh, really? They had an illegal gambling operation going on?
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. It was run by the Mafia, and the main guy was Mo Dielitz, a guy from up in Cleveland. And there was Sam Tucker and John Croft and just a whole lot of people like that. All these mobster guys. And
well, how did they get away with it?
Payoffs.
Yeah.
They paid all the... I played golf one day when I was dealing cards with the sheriff And he said, you tell them they better treat you right. It was all payoffs. And another thing that could interest you, I don't know just exactly what you do. I looked you up on the internet and I saw some of the stuff you do. But a story we'd like to get out and we've been working on. We know this last fire was arson. It's the third time it had been burned down.
So the club had burned twice before, including the time you told me about in the 30s.
Early 30s, mid-30s. And a little girl from my hometown here, Alexandria, got killed. She was a caretaker's granddaughter. They had to jump out the second floor window. But then, when the Schilling family bought it, after all the gambling in Everett's closed in '61, everybody but me went to Las Vegas. I was the only one that stayed here. But in I think it was like late 1970 or 71, it was burned again. We're not sure who did it. They know it was arson. We've seen the pictures of the gas can where it started. But they burned it pretty big. Well, Mr. Schilling, about a week later said, no, they're not stopping me. So he kept building. He tore out the wreckage and kept building.
Well, I guess people must have come from all over then, because I can't think of any other club in the area that would have had someone like Sinatra, Dean Martin, and people like that.
Well, when they came as guests. But Jerry Lewis was there at the later part as an act. And we had all kind of people like that. And also, at the beginning, we had Liberace and just everybody. They just had, when they had the gambling, we had all the big acts. And then later on, it was just a banquet facility. We had the showroom held close to 1,000, and we had another room that held 900, which had been the old showroom. And we just had banquet rooms all over the place. We had a gigantic garden with its own chapel with chandeliers, and it was immaculate, just beautiful.
Do you remember any of the stars that played there that impressed you, that you maybe had a brush with? And
that played there? Oh, well, there were a lot of them. It's going to be hard offhand to think, but well, of course, you know, when the gambling was in there, for instance, Carol Channing one night gave me. She says, "How you doing, honey?" I said, "I got a cold." And she says, "Here, take one of these." You know, and she gave me something, and that cold was gone. But the Andrews sisters and Guy Lombardo and the Mills brothers and just all kind of a guy just died not long ago. All the comedians. I can't think of this guy's name right offhand, but he just all the big names there. I saw Bob Hope there. Now he didn't act. He was just there. But they were getting all these threats and everything. And finally, on the busiest night that we ever had, in May 28, 1977, these guys torched it. And we can't get anybody officially to believe it, although everybody knows what it was. And we'd like to get a story out on that someday.
Well, yeah, tell me more about it, because it's fascinating. I mean, I saw the pictures of the building completely engulfed in flames. It looked like from the inside.
Well, here's you know, I know a lot of people. We know it was set, and we know who did it and everything, but nobody will believe us. Nobody that's, you know, the governor and that. Let me tell you, I was in the room at 25 minutes till 9. I took the check in there. I was kind of like a supervisor, I guess, a banquet captain in there, in tuxedo and what have you. And I took the bill in there, and I'm waiting for Shirley to get the cake cut and so she can get the bill, and I'm in a hurry, you know. And I looked at my watch, it's 25 minutes till 9. And that was the smallest room in the club. It was called the Zebra Room. And there were about 30 people for a little wedding in there. Mm-hmm. They told me Miss Black USA or Miss Black America was in there, and I said, well, I didn't see her. At 9 o'clock exactly, the whole building was on fire. And later, I asked Shirley, the girl that was in the room years later, I said, Shirley, what time did you leave that room? And she said, I left at 5 minutes till 9, 5 till 9, and there was nothing wrong. At 9 o'clock, the whole building was on fire. And Shirley had been in hiding for 28 years, threatened with her life and her children's life if she told what she knew. And there's so many things that we just know. We'd like to get this out, a story for them somehow. There is a story in writing about it, but we know it was arson. So what that makes it is the third worst mass murder in the history of America.
Wow. Yeah, I guess it. Now, was it the second most deadly fire?
Third most deadly nightclub fire. I guess there was one in Mississippi, a dance hall, and then, you know, the up in Boston. I can't think of the name right now of the place, but
right.
that grove.
Yeah.
And then another big fire 65 years ago was the Hartford Circus fire. Killed about one more person than what died here. Anyway.
What do you think? What was the motive? What was the motive?
They wanted to take over. Gangsters wanted to take over. Very lucrative. They were making money faster than they could count it. They were going to build a big convention center. They were going to build a hotel there. They had already expanded it like crazy. They were going to have a lake in the middle of all this with a bridge. They were going to have light horses and carriages. They just had plans. And if you wanted the banquet, you had to book 3 years in advance to get it.
3 years in advance for a banquet?
For a big one. For small ones, you were okay. But bigger ones, if you get a big one, yeah. And it was just fascinating. Beautiful. And then there's another beautiful restaurant that burned down not long after the Beverly Hills. And I understand that the same people burned that and that they were from North Carolina.
Oh, God.
But who knows?
I didn't know we had any mafia in North Carolina.
You know, there was these two guys working in this room all day long, and they had been there during the week because my friend the busboy was working then. Kept seeing them, and they kept running them out, and this girl that they got threatened, she kept seeing them. She had to get this party ready. She said, I've got a party to, get out of here, we're working. Well, what are you working on? The air conditioning. There was no air conditioning. The only thing was a vent. That was the only thing, and they had switches off, and they had everything off. And I went to Boston in National Fire Prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all pictures, and we've got our own pictures, but we could see exactly where it started. Both the front side of that wall and the back side. You could just see that's where it started. And we figured they put a timing device in there with like a balloon full of whatever they did. And at a certain time that went off, and it just blew like crazy, because within 5 minutes that whole place was on fire. And this girl also saw 3 people wiping the walls down all the way back to the showroom, which was a real long hallway.
Yeah.
And we found out they were wiping it with liquid graphite. And there's independent of all this, what we know, there was a girl writing a book about Newport and all that had happened there. I think the book just came out, but I'm not sure. But she was interviewing an old gangster down at one of the clubs in Newport, a diner down there. And he tells her, the mob did it, and they sent 2 guys from North Carolina, 3 people from North Carolina over here to wipe the walls with liquid graphite and all. And we already knew this other girl had seen them wiping them. And so, everything comes together. But the governor, he doesn't believe us.
Well, you've talked to fire professionals. Is there anything they can do forensically now?
Well, there's a fire official up in New Jersey. His name is Glenn Corbett, and he teaches at John Jay University fire safety, and he was very deeply involved with the World Trade Center, and he was deeply involved with the Rhode Island fire. And by the way, after that fire, I got 5 newspapers up there calling me, asking me questions about, whatever. But anyway, Glenn is still working on it. I talked to him last night. He's with the ATF now, alcohol, tobacco, and that. So we haven't given up yet. So it's just a big story. It really is. I'll tell you who's got my book, who was at the fire, was George Clooney.
Oh, yeah?
I made good friends with him. Well, see, he lived in the next town to me, a little town right up here from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I know his mom and dad real well because they used to come in all the time to the club. And his dad was a newscaster, and he also, for a long time, did American movie classics.
Oh, yeah. His dad was, Yeah. He was a big local star there.
Yeah, right. And he was a newsman, so when he heard about the fire, he shot down there about 45 minutes from where he lived at the fire, and his son, George, went with him. But George played basketball twice a year for 4 years against my one son, and he would come in with his mom and dad to the club. So he has my book. So he was there. He was at the fire.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So and another guy that was there was the $6 million man. What was his name?
Oh yeah, Lee Majors.
Lee Majors. He was there because he came there with the governor. He flew up in a helicopter, I think, or whatever. So it was something, and this whole area was really something.
Well, I guess, I don't know much about the mob, but I'm guessing that they really aren't anything like they used to be 30 years ago.
No, it's not the same.
Yeah, is there even still a mob around, I guess, or?
They're still around. They get into industry and stuff. I don't know what they do, but it's different now than what it used to be. But the Newport was just a wide open city. It was really something. It was something, yeah.
Was that, I guess it would have been the end of the era there for that type of entertainment then, huh?
Pretty much so.
Nothing took its place, or?
Not really, no. In fact, one night Ronnie Schilling, he says, hey, I'm trying to get a barn where we can start up some gambling. Can you come out and deal for us if we do? But nothing ever came of that, And but anyway, it's been something. I had a TV station come here from London, England, and they spent 3 days here. They set up stuff in my living room to roll the cameras on and everything, and I had laryngitis when they got here. The girl says, run in there and get some whiskey. Run in there. But that was on the Learning Channel here called Plays. It was on for 2 nights, a couple hours each night.
Wow.
And they featured fires around the world. And this was one of them that was featured.
And I guess nothing's been built on that property, huh?
The property's sitting up there. The Methodist Church owns it. 72 acres, prime, up on a hillside outside of Cincinnati, right over an expressway.
Oh.
I've got a beautiful monument I built myself there. I designed it and had somebody build it for me. But it's an arch and 25-foot high cross, a really high flagpole, and 2 other crosses, and whatever.
Wow, that's really nice.
And you can look up off of one of the expressways about 100 feet up, and you can see this up there. It's like a cliff up there.